Hundreds of people have evacuated Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital on foot today after the hospital director said the Israeli army ordered the hospital to be emptied. Palestinian officials and the Israeli military have offered conflicting versions about what prompted the mass exodus from Al-Shifa hospital. Health officials in Gaza say they received an evacuation order from the Israeli military this morning, while the military says it had offered safe passage to those hoping to leave. Good evening, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Poaching of endangered one-horned rhinos continues. 183 rhinos killed in Chitwan alone in the past 25 years. Questions raised on the role of the Chitwan National Park and Nepal Army. Hotels report of up to 30% occupancy by domestic tourists. No government data on domestic tourists. Tourism entrepreneurs suggest forming clear policy to promote tourism. Doctors at Al-Shifa hospital say the Israeli army has told the hospital to evacuate, while Israeli forces deny issuing such an order. And India and Australia clashing in the ICC World Cup 2023 final tomorrow. India targets to lift the title after 12 years. Australia aims to claim the World Cup for a 6th time. Tourists from around the world come to Chitwan to see the endangered one-horned rhino. However, rhinos have been targeted by poachers more in recent time. Poachers have killed 183 rhinos in the past 25 years. This has raised questions on the role of the Chitwan National Park and the Nepal Army personnel who are deployed there for the security of the national park. Employees of the Chitwan National Park and a team of the Khadga Dal Battalion of the Nepal Army were on a regular patrolling of the national park last Thursday afternoon. When they reached the core area of the national park in East Chitwan's Saura sector, they found 2 dead rhinos. The 2 rhinos were found in the ditches dug by poachers at a distance of around 100 meters with their horns cut off. Poachers killing 2 rhinos just 3 kilometers away from the Chupar Chuli security post clearly exhibits the negligence of the Chitwan National Park Administration and the Nepal Army. The poachers killed an 18-year-old and a 6-year-old rhinos and ran off with their horns and hoofs. The National Park Administration has informed that it has taken the incident seriously and search is ongoing to find the poachers. Along with the 2 rhinos killed, 8 rhinos have died at the Chitwan National Park and mid-region this fiscal year due to various reasons. Meanwhile, 22 rhinos were killed during the last fiscal year, out of which 2 were electrocuted by poachers. According to the Chitwan National Park Administration, 183 rhinos have been killed in the past 25 years. The highest number of rhinos were killed during the conflict era. According to the 2021 census, there were 752 rhinos in Nepal, out of which the highest number of 694 was in Chitwan. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Forest and Environment has formed a probe committee to investigate the killing of the 2 rhinos by poachers in the Chitwan National Park. Minister for Forest and Environment, Birendra Mahato, has said that a 5-member committee has been formed under the coordination of Deputy Managing Director of the Department of the National Park and Wildlife Conservation, Ved Kumar Dhakal. The committee has been assigned a deadline of 10 days to submit the report. The committee includes Lieutenant Colonel of the National Park and Wildlife Reservation Directorate of the Nepal Army, Deputy Superintendent of Police of the Central Investigation Bureau CIB of Nepal Police, Legal Officer of the Department of National Park and Investigation Officer. The committee is set to begin site investigation from tomorrow. It's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before that, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we had asked you, what should be done to promote coffee farming? 40% voted for A, encourage farmers, 11% voted for B, enhance quality, and 49% voted for C, expand market. Here's today's question. What should be done to control poaching? Your options are A, strict legal action, B, arrange security, and C, public awareness. The voting is on. Type NEWS. Select your option A, B, or C. and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. The flow of domestic tourists during the festive season this year has been considered remarkable. The country witnesses around 30,000 to 35,000 domestic tourists annually. However, the government lacks proper data regarding this. The government and tourism entrepreneurs do not consider domestic visitors as tourists. However, they have been the biggest contributors in uplifting the tourism market in the country. Around 1 to 1.2 million international tourists visit Nepal annually, while the number of domestic tourists is projected at double or triple than that. Majority of the tourist destinations in the country had been visited by domestic tourists during the Dasai and Tihar festivals this year. However, the government and other concerned entities do not have proper data regarding this. China has recorded 2.8 billion domestic tourists within the first 6 months of the ongoing year, while the country expects 5.5 billion domestic tourists by the end of this year. The southern neighbor has projected transactions of 5 trillion rupees from the domestic tourists. Likewise, India had recorded 670 million domestic tourists in the year 2021, which had increased to 1.73 billion in 2022. According to a hotel in Nepal, 10 to 15% of the bookings are done by domestic tourists. Some hotels have reported up to 30% occupancy by domestic tourists. All 3 tiers of the government have been making pledges to promote domestic tourism. However, they have failed to prepare required plans and policies in this regard. Domestic tourists say that development of infrastructures at tourism destinations must be equally prioritized. The government has not been able to ensure domestic tourism-friendly environment in the country. Domestic tourism can grow further by increasing the purchasing power of the people. Nagarkot, one of the most popular tourist destinations near the capital that once served as a retreat, remained deserted for a long period of time due to the dilapidated condition of the road to Nagarkot. However, the increase in the number of tourists in Nagarkot has been recorded following the reconstruction of the road. Nagarkot, which is at a distance of around 30 kilometers from Kathmandu and lies in the northeast, is popularly known as one of the major tourist destinations in the country. There are around 80 small and big hotels in Nagarkot with the capacity of accommodating up to 3,000 tourists on a daily basis. These hotels had remained deserted for the past 9 years. The road section between Bhaktapur's Bhatkekopati and Nagarkot was in a dilapidated condition, which had discouraged tourists from reaching the destination. The COVID pandemic had further disheartened the tourism entrepreneurs in Nagarkot. However, tourists have started visiting the place following the reconstruction of the road. The place has started being crowded with domestic and international tourists during weekends. Panoramic view of the mountain range, including the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, Machapuchre, Dhaulagiri, Ganesh, Langtang and Gauri Shankar, can be observed from Nagarkot, which is at an altitude of 2,075 meters above sea level. Along with its breathtaking views, Nagarkot is equally significant in terms of culture and archaeology. The Buddhist stupa, Mahankal Temple, Bhangeri Darbar and Suspension Bridge are the major attractions of Nagarkot. People opine that development of infrastructures and promotion of the tourism destination can boost domestic tourism in Nagarkot, while the local government must also prioritize it. In our Public Voice segment, today we have asked people in several provinces regarding ways to complete the National Pride projects within the deadline. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
समयमै बजेट दिनु पर्दछ र अनुगमन पनि निरन्तर गरिरहनु पर्दछ।
यो ठेक्का प्रणालीलाई केही परिवर्तन गरेर छिटो द्रुत गतिमा काम हुने वातावरण चाहिँ सिर्जना गर्नुपर्छ।
लेबरहरूले राम्रोसँगले गरेका छन् कि छैनन् भनेर राम्रोसँगले बिहानदेखि बेलुकासम्म उनीहरूलाई समय दिएर काम गर्यो भने चाहिँ हुन्छ होला जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ।
नियमन गर्ने पक्ष अनि जसले जिम्मा लिएको छ ठेकेदार पक्ष अनि त्यहाँको सम्बन्धित उपभोक्ता पनि सचेत हुनु पर्यो।
बजेट दिनुपर्छ र ठेकदारलाई चाहिँ आफ्नो अनुरूप मिलाएर काम गर्नुपर्छ।
समयमा बजेट दिएर त्यो चाहिँ गम्भीर रूपमा त्यो कार्य सम्पन्न गर्नुपर्ने अनि मात्रै हुन्छ।
सरकारले ठेकदारहरूलाई कडाभन्दा कडा निर्देशन दिएर कामको सुरुवात गर्नुपर्छ।
जति पनि घुसखोरीहरू छ त्यसलाई त्यो छिटोभन्दा छिटो कारबाही गर्ने।
It's time now for the international update. A Palestinian doctor who fled Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital towards the south today said patients and medical staff had been forced out by the Israeli army. He painted a vivid picture of the conditions he said existed in the hospital with increasing numbers of infections. Interviewed by the side of the road leading from Al-Shifa, he said he had seen decomposing corpses in the streets as he fled south with his daughters. Palestinian officials and Israel's military gave conflicting accounts about evacuations of medical staff, patients, and displaced people from North Gaza's largest hospital, taken over by Israeli forces earlier in the week. Israel said it had organized a voluntary evacuation, while Palestinian health authorities said the evacuations were forced. Palestinian Health Minister Mai al-Kaila said only about 125 of an estimated 1,000 to 1,500 war-wounded or sick patients, as well as 34 newborn babies, along with just 5 doctors and some nurses, remained at the hospital. It's time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
Nepal crushed Japan by 67 runs in today's match under the four-nation T20 series in Hong Kong. In the match played at Hong Kong Club Ground today, Japan won the toss as they elected to field first. Nepal got off to a slow start as they had only put on 35 runs in the first 10 overs. The Nepali batters made most of the next 10 overs as captain Indu Burma scored 27 runs while Rubina Chetri made 38 runs. Kajal Shrestha also chipped in with 15 runs off 7 balls to give respectability to the Nepal total. Nepal eventually finished with 113 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. Elina Kushta Narin was the most successful Japanese bowler with 2 wickets. In reply, the Japanese chase faltered completely as they were shut out for a paltry score of 46 runs. The number 10 batter for Japan, Meg Ogawa, top scored with 17 runs as she was run out in the last ball of their innings. Sangeeta Rai was the most successful bowler for Nepal with a 5-wicket haul. Nepal take on Japan again tomorrow to decide the 3rd place. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.